Hello, everyone. It's Mary Weber, Guru Girl, and I'm doing my monthly presentation by Zoom today. And the reason is that I heard from many women that they didn't want to start traveling in the winter to go to our in-person meetings. So I'm going to bring the meeting to you. I'm going to do exactly the same kind of presentation I would have done if we were live. Hopefully this will give you some ideas for the winter and spring and even summer of next year to prepare yourself if you're thinking of traveling, and hopefully you are. I'm going to share my screen. And slide. And here we go. So welcome everyone. It is November, and of course we've had our first snowfall and it looks like it's going to stay. So unfortunately, we're going to have to put up with this weather for the next few months. And just a greeting from both Glenda and I. We've really loved our in-person meetings and we hope that we can have them again, probably not till spring. So why would you book with a travel agent? I've been going to or having meetings with you for the last couple of years. Well, maybe not as many through COVID. But the one thing that people ask me, oh, do you do air? Do you do this? Do you do that? Well, I'm a travel agent, and the reason I'm doing the presentations is number one, I'm a small business person, but also number two, because I have all of the things that you need in order to make a booking, and that I have lots of experience with different things. So I am able to book most trips for most people. So if the price is the same, why would you book online? Number one, if it is the same price and you're working with a travel agent, whether it's me or someone else, you're helping us out because we're small business people. And number two, you're helping yourself out because you would have someone to talk to. The internet does not care who you are. And a good evidence of that was during the COVID season when you had a hard time trying to get a hold of someone. There was absolutely no one to talk to. You're talking to air. So at least when you have a travel agent booking for you, then you at least have a resource by email or by phone to be able to help you out. Now, I've been to many places in the world, including Europe many, many times, South America, Africa, Asia, China, most places in the United States, most places in the Caribbean. I've traveled by air, by plane, by train, by car. So I've had a lot of experience trying out different trips. And so I really feel that I would be able to help anyone with just about any trip that they want. Remembering that agents, as we as agents have a lot of entry through the back door. In other words, we have lots of connections with the travel agent community, and we're able to resolve or find things for people that you wouldn't normally be able to do on your own. The other thing is that you could absolutely spend hours on the internet looking, which I don't discourage because I think it's a good idea to do that in order to find if you're looking for something in particular, but and want to get ideas about something or places and you want to narrow down itineraries, I think it's a really good idea. Then you come with that to someone like me and we're able to iron it out for you. So I've also traveled as a single woman traveler for both work and pleasure, and this was well before I was a travel agent. I've had several different careers, and one of them enabled me to travel a lot for business and pleasure, and it allowed me to explore the world. I'm now remarried and my husband and I travel together, but I still have lots of experience and insight. And also there's a lot more available for single women travelers than there ever was when I was a single woman traveler. I can customize what you want. So sometimes people come to me and they say, well, I want to do this short tour, but then I want to go on my own. I've had a couple of ladies do that this year, and I've been able to adjust their itinerary for them and give them what they were looking for. If you're looking for budget type accommodations, especially in Italy, I'm able to put you into monasteries and convents, and that really does decrease the amount that you pay for a hotel room. I can tell you if it makes sense if you have a certain itinerary in mind and time period. We have many, many connections to help you. So I was able to help all of my clients during the COVID time period. And even though it took months and months to resolve, we were either able to give them future credits or get refunds when it was possible. So I didn't give up. I'm an advocate for my clients. I really believe in sticking up for my clients. And any of the companies that I have dealt with certainly know that I go back to them to resolve any issues that we have with clients. Okay, so I'm going to go on from that. So yes, I book just about everything. The things you need to know is you have to make sure that your passport, because maybe you haven't traveled for a while, that maybe it hasn't expired and it's good for 6 months past the time that you want to travel. So if you wanted to travel in December of 2023, but your passport was expiring, let's say in June or July of 2023, well, you'd have to make sure that you renew your passport well ahead of that time. You still have to follow individual public health measures to keep yourself safe, regardless of your vaccination status. You no longer have to complete the ArriveCam app, but it is still available and you can still use it. Sometimes it may help you to get through customs quicker. But you still do have to check some COVID testing and vaccination requirements in some of the countries that you're going to, because some may or may not have lifted some of their restrictions. You're always advised to practice health precautions no matter what you do internationally. You should also, on the Canada government website, register when you're traveling to foreign destinations in case something was happened again, then they'd know where their Canadian citizens are and be able to help perhaps in a tough situation. Many companies still do offer vaccinated only tours, so that may help alleviate some travel concerns. And when oil prices are high, you can expect airfares to go up and stay up for quite a while. So try to lock in airfares if you know for sure when you're going somewhere. So this is what we've seen on some of the streets already. So if you're thinking about a getaway, you should be looking at it and what time period you want to go and let me know. So what kind of things could you do this fall and winter? Well, you could go on an all-inclusive. You could go on a cruise in the Caribbean. You could go to places like Palm Springs, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Florida. You could go to places where it is their summer and we have winter, it's their summer. So places like Australia, New Zealand, South America, Thailand, Vietnam, Bali. You could go skiing if that's still what you like to do. You can do a long stay. A long stay means staying 2 or 3 weeks in one destination in one place and being able to go and explore those areas around you. There's things like Spain, Portugal, and Croatia, which are quite popular in the winter. You could also start to plan your bucket list trips such as Africa or Peru. Africa may require up to 1 year in advance of travel because there are restrictions about the amount of people that can go and itineraries, they're costly, so you may have to save a little bit more. So those are things that you should think about. And you could start booking your spring and fall for 2023 as well, because minimal deposits are usually only required. For instance, and I've just done a few at random looks for people just thinking about what they might want to do this winter. So Las Vegas, February 2nd to 7th is one example. Stay at the Link, which is in a good location, and it would be $817 per person double. That's your air and your room with WestJet. Of course, your meals are not included. This is one example. It's a good location. I picked that for that reason, but there's all kinds of dates, all kinds of hotels, many choices for people that want to get away. So if that's something you're thinking about, certainly Las Vegas is a nice getaway. You can go book and see a lot of shows. Great getaway. All inclusive. So another one I just picked at random, and prices will change depending on when a person looks. So today, the Catalonia Riviera Maya, Yucatan Beach, it's a 4-star property going with sun wing from February 3rd to 10th, which is in the middle of our winter. A comfort room, $19.25 per person based on W occupancy, and $23.55 for a single room. This is an all-inclusive resort that's close to the Port of Ventura's marina, dolphin discovery, golf courses, all kinds of things. So it's a great location for that. Obviously, there's less expensive, not too many though, and obviously more. So depending on what you're looking for, there's higher end resorts as well. But this one has lots of restaurants, and I think a pretty good choice for a reasonable price. Lots of people love the Hawaii. Hawaii is getting like for people that I know that go for a month, it's at least $10,000 to $12,000 for 1 month stay in Hawaii now, in Maui, in Maui. So for sure, and that's US. So if you can get to the Hawaiian Islands, this particular trip takes you to a number of them. So it's a great choice because you get to see Honolulu, you get to go to Kona, Kauai, and Maui. And the flights in between are included in this price. So going again in mid-February, $34.50, that's sharing. So we have to have somebody else to go with, plus air. So again, pretty reasonable to go and see all of these places in beautiful Hawaii in the height of winter. Another one that I just picked at random, Costa Rica is a great location to go in the winter. It's a great location to go any time of year, but certainly if you want to get away from winter. It is diverse, so that means there's volcanoes, wildlife, rainforests, and beaches to explore. So it's a great balance of guided excursions and free time, lots of optional activities. You can spot wildlife, you can hike in the cloud forest. There's gorgeous beaches. And the max is 16, so an average of 12, maximum 16, and 15% off travel before March 31st. So again, you can see the different itineraries here. Great place to go. Thailand. So Thailand, again, that's in Southeast Asia. So this is a great itinerary. It's a higher end itinerary. What I like about G Adventures is that they will match you with someone. And so as a single traveler, this is a great itinerary or great for a couple. So as you know, National Geographic is known for great itineraries and the places and the things they do and the information that they give you. So Thailand with National Geographic, February 19th to March 5th is $48.99 per person. That's plus air though. And it's a great solo trip, but great for couples too. So if you're looking for a trip that gives you everything, the most information and flights in between and seeing the majority of Thailand, this is one that I would recommend. It's in comfort class, so it's not roughing it at all. As I mentioned, average 12, maximum of 16. There are many, many other itineraries to Thailand with many, many different companies. So this is just one example. I'm showing you a higher end version because it's National Geographic. I did mention long stays earlier. So April 20th to May 11th for $25.99 per person. That's based on double. That's your air and your apartment in Kalela. And at the bottom of the picture here is the beach just outside of where you would stay. It is hosted. So people from Edmonton, Calgary, Toronto, and BC are the ones that would most frequently go on this trip. It's been hosted for 3 or 4 years in a row by the same couple. They are experts in the area. So even though you're not following a tour group, you are not alone. You have many, many choices of going to Barcelona if you want. They will offer optional tours. So that means if you're R&Ring for a few days and you want to get away and they're offering something, there's wine and food tasting tours. You can go to Barcelona yourself by train. It's only 60 kilometers away. And every night they have a happy hour from 5 to 7, and you can meet your fellow travelers. So even as a woman or male, single, or a couple, you are never alone. There's lots of people to meet. I've sent 10 people on this trip last year, and they absolutely loved it. So $250 deposit is non-refundable. The second one is due December 1st, is $500, and final payment is not due till February 27th. Another choice would be Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. So this gives you a taste of all of these different places. There are lots of different time periods you could go. I picked this particular one. It's a good time of year to go, but if you look on the map here, you're going to be in Madrid, Seville, Granada, the Costa del Sol in Spain. You're going to be in Lisbon. You're going to be in Rabat and Marrakesh and Fez in Morocco. So you'll get to see the key sites. This is just a great budget price trip. It's $32.54 per person plus air. Lots of other dates available, but you can get a roommate match on this particular trip, or you can go as a couple if you already know somebody that you want to travel with, male or female. Okay, Mediterranean flavors. So for people that want a taste of the Mediterranean, you're not sure where to go, this is a good trip. So again, this is a trip where they will match you on a roommate match. So May 27th to June 9th, I just picked a date at random. That's a good time of year to go. It's quite warm. So you'll visit Madrid, Valencia, Barcelona, Marseille, Venice, and the Cinque Terre. So the Cinque Terre is this colorful building that you see on the bottom here. This is in Barcelona. This is in Rome, of course. You'll be along the French Riviera. You'll have local guides to see your must-see sites. You'll get a taste of Venice and go to Assisi, etc. So this is a map of the area, Rome, Assisi, Venice, La Spezia. That's where the Cinque Terre is. 2 days on the French Riviera, Marseille, Barcelona, Valencia, and Madrid. This is a great itinerary. So Viking River Cruises, as you know, they do a lot of promotions. You do see them advertising quite a bit. So right now their promotion is until November 30th. They are offering up to free airfare and reduced cruise fares on select river cruises. So the Rhine Getaway, the Danube Waltz, Paris to the Swiss Alps. So with Viking, you will get, and this is a river cruise, so you'll get one complimentary shore excursion. You'll get free Wi-Fi. You'll always get beer and wine and soft drinks with lunch and dinner. You get specialty coffees 24 hours. You get a ground transfer if you get your free air, and you visit the key sites in these locations. So again, I mentioned I just picked two at random. The Rhine Getaway, which can go to from Basel to Amsterdam or Amsterdam to Basel. The itinerary I chose was May 5th to 12th. It's $54.99 per person in a French balcony, and that is with your air. So it's an incredible deal. You can always go a day early to Amsterdam as well, so that you can spend a little bit of extra time there. The other date is June 1st to the 8th, Amsterdam to Basel, French balcony, $54.99. But if you just want the window and save some money, it's $38.99 per person. The Grand European is from Amsterdam to Budapest. So that's your 15-day free air, $69.99 per person. That's 15 days on the cruise and free air in a window cabin on your cruise ship. You can't really beat that at all. And I just went in September on one that was called the Switzerland to Paris. And so we did a portion of the Rhine, and all of these castles were the castles that I saw on the Rhine and my pictures that I took along the river cruise. So again, that's a great itinerary. It's a little bit different. You go up partially up the Rhine River and then onto the Moselle into France and in Paris. And then I added on Normandy. Oopsie daisy. Okay, so the benefits of river cruising. You see multiple countries and unpack once. It's almost all inclusive. You do get your free beer and wine, as I mentioned. You are able to be in the center of most European cities where your boat goes through. There's no formal nights. The boats are small, anywhere from 150 to 180 people. It's a very, very relaxed way to travel. There's no seasickness, and the signal supplement is waived from time to time. So it's a great way for a solo traveler to go if they want to go on a river cruise. Okay, so I just picked at random again some solo rates on river cruise lines. Unfortunately, most of the time Viking does not offer any solo rates. So the one I picked was on the Avalon Danube Dream, April the 3rd to the 11th. This 5832 is a single rate plus air, and that goes from Budapest and stops midway through the Danube at Deggendorf. So this is an excellent itinerary because you're in Budapest, you're in Vienna, you take in a lot of the key sites that you would see along the Danube that most people want to see. There's also many other itineraries with Avalon that are active in Discovery. So biking, hiking. So they offer not just a one little side tour or whatever. They offer different ones depending on the cruise that you take. There's many theme cruises, authors, wine, culinary, active, history, garden, photography, beer, Christmas. Okay, and the second one that I picked to show you was the Rhine. So again, this is Amsterdam to Basel, and it's 5601 plus air. There's 166 passengers. You go Amsterdam to Cologne, to Rudesheim, to Maine, to Strasbourg, to the Black Forest, castles, and lots of scenery. So this is a great itinerary as well at the end of August next year. So solo cabins on, those of you that have someone to travel with, obviously there's lots of Caribbean cruises. There's lots of deals on them. It changes on a regular basis. But for those of you that are solo travelers, a lot of the cruise lines are now working on offering solo cabins. And I think that's a great idea because when I went, I had to pay double. So a good example, I've given you 3 examples here. The Celebrity Beyond, it's a huge, beautiful brand new ship, 3,200 passengers, does the Eastern Caribbean, which I love. Goes from Fort Lauderdale to St. Martin, St. Thomas, Puerto Plata, and then back to Fort Lauderdale. It's a single stateroom with a little veranda, and it's $23.51 plus air. So that's a superb deal to get to see all these places, be in the beautiful Caribbean in January. With Holland America, you can go to the Eastern Caribbean. This itinerary is Fort Lauderdale, Grand Turk, San Juan, St. Thomas. It's a single ocean view room. It doesn't have a veranda, but it's $19.50 plus air. That includes drinks, Wi-Fi, that sort of thing, a $75 US onboard credit. The prices I'm giving you are in Canadian dollars, but once you're on the ship, it is US dollars. So these are specific solo cabins for singles. And the other itinerary would be a great one, I think, also because it's a little bit longer. It's 11 days. February 14th to 15th. goes to the Southern Caribbean. So you get Fort Lauderdale, St. Martin, St. Lucia, Barbados, Martinique, St. Kitts, St. Thomas, and back to Fort Lauderdale. This is a superb itinerary. I've done the Caribbean a lot, and this is a wonderful, wonderful itinerary. 3622 plus air, again, includes your drinks, your Wi-Fi, and those are things that they used to charge for on the ship, and they still will. So if you're looking at cruises, sometimes it'll give you a fare that looks really, really cheap, and it is, but they're not offering you anything, no free drinks, no free Wi-Fi. You have to absolutely pay for everything, and that's where people used to get quite surprised on a cruise. So Princess Cruises, and this is another idea for winter. This is actually very reasonable for going to Australia and New Zealand. So as you can see the map here, it takes care of most of New Zealand, goes to Hobart in Tasmania and Sydney. So on this particular one, it's double occupancy, 3268 plus air. So air, right off the top of my head, is probably about $2,000 a person. So just so you've got a rough idea. You've got your plus beverage package, you have Wi-Fi, and you also have your gratuities included in that price. So it's a great win-win proposition. So if you're thinking of going to Australia, this is probably one of the least expensive ways to do it. And if I was you and I was going there, then I would add on a little bit of Australia, of course. I would go on to the Great Barrier Reef. I would also do Melbourne. And if you were so inclined, go to Uluru as well. So that's in the Sydney Harbor. That was when we were sailing in a few years ago, and it's just a wonderful destination. Another option, I've had a couple of ladies that did this a few years ago, and it was the Highlights of New Zealand. It's with G Adventures. They will match you with a roommate here. It's an active classic tour, a maximum of 16 people. So in terms of touring, it's a great option because max 16 and average of 12, and it goes to, you go to all these main areas and you get to see them in depth. So it's $45.99 plus air, but if that's like a dream trip for you, I would definitely recommend New Zealand. Other companies also offer it, but I'm showing you what is a really, really great itinerary with them. Panama Canal. So this could be for singles. I don't have a single price right here, but for those of you that had the Panama Canal on your list, this is when the cruise lines, once they're done kind of the Caribbean season and they're working their way back to do Alaska, this is a great option. So you would fly to Fort Lauderdale, get on the boat in Fort Lauderdale, go through many of the places that go through the Panama Canal, and then up the coast, you'll go have several stops at Mexican Riviera, and then arrive in Vancouver. And so then you only have to fly home to Vancouver. This in a balcony is $53.42 plus air. So those are, that's a great thing. Obviously, you could have an inside cabin. You could also have an ocean view cabin, which would decrease the price. So if you look at this, this is almost 3 weeks on this cruise. So excellent value offered for that. Drink packages include, and you get a $200 per person US onboard credit. People last year had asked me about the wonders of the Maritimes and Cape Breton, the 9-day tour from Halifax to Halifax. So $41.29 per person plus air, and it takes in pretty well everything as you can see on the map here. So Halifax, then going up to Baddock for 2 days, then on to Charlottetown, Moncton, and then back to Halifax again, and taking in Peggy's Cove and Lunenburg. So It sounds like it's expensive. Canada is more expensive than some going to a lot of other places, but it is such a beautiful part of the world that if you have that in mind, then you should look at this particular trip. Iceberg Festival in Newfoundland, of course, that's very famous as well. Again, this will be very expensive, but if this is on your bucket list, you're looking at about $52.89 plus airfare, and that's double occupancy. A lot of people, especially last year, thought they could just go to Newfoundland, but it's very hard to do on your own because last year in particular, they didn't have that many rental cars. And also accommodation is taken up by a lot of the tour companies. So there isn't a ton of accommodation as what you would see when you go to a lot of other locations. So there may or may not be a tour that's a little bit less expensive than this and maybe a little shorter. But that's just something to keep in mind if you think that unless you're going to stay with somebody, it's very, very difficult to find accommodation in prime season. I just better plug in my power here. There is another company that I have used from time to time. They are offering an 8-day Maritimes. I wanted to show this to you because it's $22.49 per person in US dollars. So yes, you are paying in US dollars, but you're still looking at around $3,000 per person. So that may be something that you would consider. It's only 1 day shorter than the one that I just showed you. So something to keep in mind. There are companies like this that I can offer alternatives for you. So you don't always have to go with I've just had someone that did Gate One that did the fall scenery tour, and they enjoyed it and said the accommodations were good. They were quite happy with it. Ireland. In Ireland is always a popular destination for women. This is a women-only tour, June 4th to 11th, 2023, and it's $27.25 per person, and they will match you up with a roommate. Egypt has made a big comeback, and so in October of 2023, it's being offered women only again, which is really, really great because you're going with like-minded people that really want to go and see this destination. So this is in October, only offered in October. It's $39.75 plus air. And sometimes with these companies like Trafalgar, we can get a better deal on the air as well. So, and sometimes a lot of you may have points or something that you want to use. So in many cases, I'm just going to say plus air. So your plan for bucket list. If Africa is on your list, you should be planning it now. Many itineraries are limited, and also it can get to be pricey. So you'll want to plan ahead for that. I did Kenya, Tanzania, and we went to Zanzibar afterwards. So we're gone for almost a month, but it can get pricey. So I would encourage you to think about it. South Africa is very, very popular as well. And sometimes we can get, very reasonable prices for that as well, especially if you plan ahead. You can add on Uganda for gorilla viewing, that sort of thing, going to Victoria Falls. So just giving you a heads up, a lot of the trips that I just planned recently for people to Africa took almost a year to 9 months to a year. Australia, again, I did show you some ideas for Australia, but if you didn't think you could do it this year but wanted to do it next year, now would be the time to start thinking about it because you kind of got a ballpark of what could be done and what's available. Land tours can end up being about $10,000 per person if you're really going in depth. So I was trying to give you some ideas on something that's a little bit more budget minded. Antarctica might be on your list. So again, that's a very, very limited amount of people that can go there. It can be more expensive, but if that's on your dream list, and who knows how long they may offer that with global warming. So it's something that if you're interested in, you can ask me about. There's several expedition companies. Custom travel can be done for any destination. Anything can be added on a tour. That's why we try to work with you to get an itinerary, pencil it all out and see if it works for you. Look at how much it costs, and then see if we have to add or subtract anything out of that, especially if you're under a time constraint. And let's say you don't want to do group tours, I can just do the air, hotels, and certain trains or day tours for you. If you plan a cruise and you want to do some add-ons, let's say you do a cruise in the Mediterranean, it goes from A to B, but you're already there, let's add on another country. That's certainly doable. And monastery stays are also a way to keep budgets a little bit lower. So pricing for air tours and cruises changes regularly. Promos come and go. So the pricing that I've given you today could be gone in a couple of days. So just to give you a heads up on that. For most tours and or cruises, unless it's leaving in the next couple of weeks, there's only minimal deposit required, and usually payment is 60 to 90 days before you leave. So that does give you some leeway. I will include the packing video link again, just in case you wanted to see it. It is a long video, so you can skip along. This is just a recipe for pumpkin bars with cream cheese frosting, which is delicious. And planning your travel is like carving a pumpkin. It can be fun, and everyone will be impressed with all the work that you did, unless you make a rotten choice. So let me do the travel designing for you, and let's make it logical and fun for you. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed our in-person with me tour today, and I hope to hear from you again real soon. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. Stop. And we're back. Okay, so thank you very much, ladies. I hope that has given you some ideas. The world is an oyster with so much to offer. And of course, I want you to be able to take advantage of that. Don't miss out on going because you don't have someone to go with, because there's lots of alternatives, and I hope that I can find that alternative for you. If you're a couple that's traveling, I know that I can also help you with what you want to do, and maybe add on to it and make it even more dream holiday for you. So that's all for me for November of 2022. Wishing you all the best and hope to hear from you soon.